Certainly the best video storytelling that we produce is around characters who are interesting or inspiring, who have gone on a journey and have got something interesting to say. I think that's an incredibly important part, and I think when we work with brands, it's really important that we manage to identify those individuals who are going to tell the story in a way that audiences are going to engage with. I used to be a TV producer and journalist, and I suppose that some of the work that you did, looking back on it, was a bit risky sometimes, doing some of those jobs. I used to do work with foreign correspondents. I remember going to Pakistan after Benazir Bhutto returned from exile, and we spent a day going to places that then got blown up. So that was risky in retrospect, but you don't necessarily think that much about it at the time. I think probably career-wise, the biggest risk I took was taking the job that I've currently got, because it was a move away from editorial to the commercial space, but it's been one that's been extremely rewarding, and it's delightful to be able to make content which I think stands up alongside the brilliant work the BBC does in the editorial space. Well, that's a big question. I mean, I'm impressed by some of the leadership being shown in organisations in the US at the moment when things are happening that they disagree with, and they're saying this is not right, and I think that's inspiring for individuals who work for those companies, actually. So I think that knowing what you believe in and believing in those things and not being scared of standing up for them is a really important thing for leaders to be doing right now. Well, we're very lucky. We're the most trusted publisher in the world, so we already have a great story to tell to our commercial colleagues in terms of that brand safety, but it's around checking the validity of the stories that you're telling. We actually break more global news stories around the world than our competitors, but you wouldn't necessarily know that from the noise that our competitors make. But more important for us is that we get the stories right. I think that our trust, our reputation has been built over decades, and it's hard won, and we work hard to protect it. Well, so the research that we do for Science of Engagement looks at the emotional impact of the content that of the stories that we tell with brands, and so there is Bravery with willing to tell stories that elicit more serious emotions. I think that that's something that brands benefit from, but sometimes that feels like a risk. So that's Bravery. Again, I would say that brands that are telling stories of progress or talking to audiences about important issues right now is brave, but also necessary. So there's a Procter & Gamble series of films called The Talk in the US, which is about African American or minority ethnic families talking to their kids about things that they're going to experience, and I was really moved by that. I think that kind of activity is bold and necessary right now. Journalists and the brands don't get to work directly with one another. StoryWork's was created in order to have that editorial sensibility around brand storytelling, but separate from our journalism. So I think that for us, it's about understanding how to reach audiences in the brand stories that you're telling, because you know those audiences, you know what's they're interested in, and those are the insights that we're able to bring. But I'm not clear that I would be comfortable with a dissolving of the line between journalism and brand storytelling that we occasionally see elsewhere.